right, everybody, welcome on into the hot corner where NorCal Sports Network and Giant Sports Talk Live merge and come together every Sunday night. And we're going to break down the Giants this weekend. Not a great weekend in Minnesota. But before we do, and we get to the coverage of what's happening with the Giants, let us thank our sponsors of the show. With NorCal Sports Network, we want to thank Chapman Law Group for sponsoring the show. Chapman Law Group is a full-service attorney, and they specialize in personal injury. So if you've got a personal injury, make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call. They can be reached at 415-613-9483. Do not settle with an insurance company on your case before calling Chapman Law Group. And for Giant Sports Talk Live,
Lefties in Burlingame for all your sporting merchandise needs. They got lots of Giants, and they've got Warriors and 49ers and Valkyries, baby. All that jazz for all the collectors. Duxwell Printing in the Bay Area. They offer 24-hour service. Signatures for soldiers, near and dear to my buddy Eric's heart.
There you go, yeah.
Formerly served the country. And as well, GenesisGoldIRS.com. And Eric, where do you go for the best credit card offers?
BetterCreditCards.com.
And Dan, while we got those sponsors out of the way, I got to ask you right off the bat. Listen, dude, your sponsor, the law firm. Can the fans or San Francisco Giants or can we all team up and give the law firm a call? Because, I got a problem. I think I need the law firm, Dan. I think I need them. Got to call them and say that the San Francisco Giant players, quite a lot of them, aren't living up to the expectations of their contract.
You want to sue them for malpractice?
Contractual agreement was to play winning baseball.
Oh my God! All right, hey guys, before we get into this stuff, we got a special guest that's going to join us right off the show. It's the friend of Haylee Busby. Her name is Kennedy. She is a good friend of Haylee, and as you guys know, we are doing a fundraiser for her. You guys know the story. She has a rare liver cancer, and we're trying to do our part in helping her out. Lou has been generous in being able to donate 4 of his front row tickets there to San Francisco Giants, $20 a square. And, we're going to, all the proceeds, every single dime is going to go to Haylee so that, she can be taken care of. It's not easy. You got medical costs, and then you just got everyday life costs that has to be taken care of. So without further ado, let's run this promo, and then we'll bring in Kennedy right afterwards.
Giant Sports Talk Live and the NorCal Sports Network have teamed up to give back to the community. We ask for your support as we aid in Haylee Busby's fight for life in her battle with liver cancer. To take part in this fundraiser, you can purchase an entry for just $20, and the winner receives 4 front row dugout seats at Oracle Park for your choice of an August 8th game versus the Washington Nationals or the August 29th game when the Giants host the Baltimore Orioles. The winner will also get an on-field experience on game day and attend batting practice. So secure your entry now, as eligibility is limited. Draw date to be determined. The Busby family, Giant Sports Talk Live, and the NorCal Sports Network thank you for your participation and contribution to this worthwhile event, covering the San Francisco Giants and giving back to those in need in 2025. Giant Sports Talk Live and the NorCal Sports Network.
All right, there we go. Lou, take it over, my friend.
Sure, guys. First of all, the chat, and of course, you big three, thank you for doing this. I know last year we did one of Eric's friends, and I feel pretty proud to be doing this again, giving back to the community. It's not too often that we're capable. I almost feel like we're movie stars where we get back. But as you guys know, we have the 4 front row seats, get to go on the field for batting practice. We'll get your name on the scoreboard, and it's an awesome opportunity. Today being Mother's Day, first of all, I want to thank all the mothers out there for being so great and being there for us. But what a great way. Some of you guys probably forgot it's Mother's Day. Why not give a couple of squares for your mom? And if you can win, take her Friday night, one of those 2 dates to a Giant game front row. Very simple.
I like that, Lou. I like that. All right, Lou, who are we bringing in? Who is this?
So we're bringing somebody and one of Haylee's almost best friends, Kennedy. And Kennedy I've known for about 5 years. I know her aunt very well. Kennedy was sort of a stud catcher. She was one of these girls, 6th grade, was playing with 8th, 9th graders, played high school, could have probably played in college. But she was a catcher the whole time. So she knows baseball very well, knows all the technology. So if you have any questions, please ask her. But when we heard about this, I sort of heard about.
Can she bat
Haylee.
better than 200? Can she bat better than 200?
She could. Let me put it that way. She'd fit right in the Giants lineup. And the one great thing about Kennedy is she's very quiet, knows sports. But I sort of heard about this through her. And, as we know, we all think we have problems until we have an experience like this. So I thought it'd be good to bring Kennedy on so we could talk about Haylee. And Haylee's in the room ready to go. So everyone.
All right. Without further ado, let's bring on. Here is Kennedy Redican. And there we go. Is it Redican or Redican?
It's a pleasure to be here. It's Redican.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Tell us the story, Kennedy. What is going on with your friend Haylee?
Yeah. How do you know her? Tell her a little bit how long you've known her. How about her? How is she as a friend, and what is she going through now? So we can try to help in any way we can.
I can't even remember when I met Haylee. I was a very, very small child. We've been playing softball together since we were like 5 years old. We have the same birthday, so we're both 20. I'm 40 minutes older than her, barely.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so we played travel softball together our whole lives as well as high school. And she played third base and pitcher. And she actually graduated with her associate's degree. She graduated high school with her associate's degree.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. She was going to go into criminal justice, but she fell in love with dispatching. She is a dispatcher, first responder for Carson City Police Department, and she very much so serves her community any way that she can. She very recently got diagnosed. It was kind of out of the blue. She didn't have a lot of symptoms, and they referred her to an oncologist specialist in Arizona. So like 3 days after her diagnosis, she flew down to Arizona to get her prognosis, and it was stage 4 very aggressive liver cancer. Unfortunately, she's been so positive through the whole thing though. She's getting treatments in Arizona. She's back in Reno now, but once a month, 1 to 2 times a month, she has to fly back to Arizona to get treatment. She's undergoing radiation and immunotherapy in combination right now. Yeah, she's the sweetest girl ever. It's a pleasure to be in her life. She's very brave, and she's always been a leader for all of our friends, and we all grew up together, and she has a huge support system behind her, which we're very thankful for. And we're very thankful that you guys are here supporting as well. It means so much. Because yes, the cost of everything is quite pricey. Flying back to Arizona twice a month, and then the treatment itself. Yeah, especially just because all of this was so unexpected.
Right.
Especially considering her age. So, yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Hey, Kennedy, I have a question. I mean, you live in, I know you go to school at University of Nevada, Reno, but you live in Carson City. Why don't you explain how Carson City is and how close of a community Carson City is? And like when you had the travel team, obviously there were a lot of families that are involved, but when this came up, like what did the community do? Is because to me, Carson City is very small. And I mean, obviously everybody knows about it. I know your aunt works at a golf course, a great golf course, and they're doing fundraisers. But, I just, knowing Carson City, why don't you sort of tell us what the community is sort of doing to help her out? And because I've only driven through Carson City and I've stopped a few places, but Carson City is so small. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
So a lot of like local businesses and all of our friends and family that we've played travel softball with and high school softball with, if you look at the GoFundMe donation list, it's just everyone that she's ever interacted with in her life, just because she is that special of a person. Even if it was a small interaction, she's just made such an positive impact on so many people's lives. So yeah, and I know that her job is supporting her very heavily as well, through the state, obviously. So yeah, we're all just trying to get together and be there for her through this. Like I said, she's like super positive, through this whole process, doing it with a smile on her face. But yeah, we're all here, for her to fall back on. You know, there's going to be some hard days, obviously. So we're all just trying to get together and support her the best that we can.
Unbelievable. I mean, just hearing your story, sounds like for being a young woman, she really has, she sounds like an old soul almost, you know, with being able, I mean, you don't hear dispatchers being at the young age of 20. I mean, that is quite impressive. And especially, you know, graduating already with an associate's. I think it's a testament to show of how hard of a worker she may be, or that she is, I should say. But wow, that is incredible. Kennedy, we thank you for coming on here and just talking to us about your friend. And go ahead.
Eric, do you want to sort of say what we're going to do, even though we haven't done the squares yet? Why don't you tell
you what we're going
to do for you?
What we've already decided. I got a friend of mine. We're gonna front the money straight up. We're gonna have Lou contact whoever you need to contact, and we're gonna front the $2,000 up front so that you already have. So we're not gonna wait for all the squares to get filled. I mean, they're gonna get filled. There's no doubt about it. So he's gonna front the money, so you got the money ready to use, and then you don't have to worry about it. Again, we'll work out the logistics of it with Lou and your family. And her family, so that we can wire that money straight to you, and then she'll have it within matter of a day or so whenever we get it squared away. So just wanted to make that announcement.
Okay, thank you guys so much for your support. It really means a lot, to her family especially, and herself.
You're welcome.
We're very grateful, and it's a pleasure to have met you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too. I don't know if you know, last weekend, her dad actually came on the show.
Yeah.
Didn't come on the show with you, but he actually wrote. So
he was in the chat. Yeah.
He was
I got to say this.
They've been following all the episodes, all the lives.
Right on.
With you guys. So, yeah.
I was just going to say, Kennedy, it's a privilege to have you on. I've got a 21-year-old daughter. I've got a couple of older daughters in that as well. But my 21-year-old, I just want to say that Haylee's very fortunate to have you in her life.
Absolutely.
You
sound like a really sweet soul.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Again, Kennedy, thank you. And
thank you guys.
Prayers to the family and friends. Absolutely.
Yes, we'll keep you guys updated. Thank you so much.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kennedy.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was great.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Tough.
Man. Hey, and Dan, to your point too, I got a 23-year-old. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's when things are going good, you don't think about that stuff, but then you just hope that you got that support
just to hear that story, and then she found out with no symptoms hardly, and she has stage 4.
I know.
It's like, wow.
I know.
Wow.
Crazy.
All right, guys. Hey, we got another guest tonight, guys.
Another one.
Holy
I've been called out of the bullpen.
Yeah. All right, guys. We talked about it last week. Very special guest. We're going to have Glen Kuiper join the show. You guys know him from when he called the games for the A's, and now you'll see him a lot on Marty's, and now he's got his own YouTube channel, guys.
Awesome.
So let's give a good hand for Glen. Hey, what's up?
Hey, you guys.
There he is.
Hey, Glen.
Nice job in the opening segment, by the way. That was pretty cool. I hope
yeah, it's great. And you're in, and Eric Miller is out.
one bad outing, and he said, "You guys are."
He's gone.
I have a feeling you guys are going to be tough tonight. Hey,
no, the other Glen, the guy next to you.
That other Glen, I can see it in his eyes. You guys.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to be the nice guy. I cannot be associated with the Glen below me wearing the same hat, because I don't want that. I'm going to just go a little softer.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, that's great.
The old 80s logo, right?
Yeah, that's
There
the
we
old
go.
80s logo. That's
Well,
awesome.
Dan, I come in hot when we're winning. You want
No, that's what I'm saying.
He's tough. Glenn with 2 N's is tough. He is.
Okay.
Well, just I call a spade a spade. Eric, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah. Glenn, hey, let's just talk about it right off the bat before we get into maybe some wild card predictions here and whether they think the club is a wild card contender. The series was tough in Minnesota. It's a little weird, right, Glenn? I mean, when they had the last day off and they went to San Diego, they were a little bit flat. They had a great series against the Cubs, have a day off. They go into Minnesota, they look a little flat. I'm not saying that's what it is. It's a little bit, you know how it is with baseball. You got some strange things that happen. But what'd you make of this series? The starting pitching looked like it was there. Just they couldn't get the hits, and unfortunately today the bullpen kind of blew up a little.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not worried about the bullpen. I don't think anybody should be worried about the bullpen. It's a very, very good bullpen. In fact, coming into today, they had the best ERA in all of baseball. So listen, it's a bump in the road, obviously, today. You know, Miller's been really good, and he was not good today. I'm not worried about that. My thoughts on this weekend are really simple, guys. We can break this down deep into every game, you know, mistakes here, you know, whatever. But there's an old saying in baseball, it's not who you're playing, it's how they're playing. And you caught a hot team in the Minnesota Twins. I don't think there's a whole lot more to it than that. I really don't. You know, now after today, they won 8 in a row. They're back in this thing in a very, very competitive AL Central. Sometimes over the course of 162, you may go into another team's ballpark, and that team may not be that great record-wise, but if they're hot, all of a sudden they're good.
Great
or
point.
you may go into a really good team's ballpark, and you're like, oh boy, we're going to Philadelphia or New York or whatever, and maybe they're just not playing great, because that's what happens in a long season. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, the Mets didn't look that good. Well, I don't think there's, as much as we can talk about each game, I don't think there's a whole lot more to it than that. I really don't. You just caught a team that's got some talented players, very hot, pitching the ball well, and they swept you. You know, it's disappointing because you certainly had a chance to win the game today. The first 2 nights, you know, there just wasn't much going on, and their pitching's been really good. The Twins today, you know, you kind of let one get away. You had the lead 3 different times, right? So that's disappointing. But you know, I really do, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. But you caught a team that's hot, that's really hot, and now they won 8 in a row, and you took a beating. And
and a couple of bad breaks for the Giants as well. Joe Ryan happened to get sick and miss his Thursday start, so he got pushed to Saturday, and he's one of their more talented pitchers, so the Giants had to face him. You saw how effective he was. And then today, when he's healthy, Royce Lewis is a really good hitter, but he's never healthy, but he comes back today and goes 2 for 5. So if you miss both of those guys, I'm sure you would have won at least one of these games. So
and the hitting, right? I mean, Glenn, you want to take that as far as the lineup is concerned, right? I mean,
you know what I say in the show every night, Eric. For the last 2 weeks, I've been saying on the show, Giant Sports Talk Live, that I don't care whether you're playing the New York Yankees or you're playing the Chicago White Sox or the Rockies. It's Major League Baseball, and how you can compete against a team with nine guys stepping up to the plate. And we seem to have 6. When you're trying to compete with a guy batting 185, 145, 217, 097, you got a cleanup hitter, who I don't think is a cleanup hitter, batting 225. How can you compete with those kind of numbers? I mean, the law of averages, it's baseball, as you like to say, Eric.
It is.
It's baseball. It's a game of numbers. Our numbers are not competitive. So how do we remain competitive?
And this is something that I've been saying. You got to, some of these guys, you just got to give some time. You do. Others have had plenty of time, and it seems they're just having a difficult time. You know, do I think Willie Adames is going to keep batting 210, 215? No, I don't think so. Same thing with Chapman. I think they got a back of the baseball card, and they will eventually play to those numbers. I think the biggest concern, and Glenn with one end, Lamont Wade. I mean, it looked like he was starting to come out of it, and now he's kind of going back into the funk again. I mean, it's May 11th. He's had over 100 at bats. I don't know. I mean, I was talking about this with Marty on his show. Maybe you put Flores at first until Encarnacion shows up, and maybe you have to bench Wade. I don't know. What do you make of Lamont Wade Jr. at first base?
Yeah, it's tough because he's the thing with Lamont. I mean, he's a pretty good hitter. I mean, we've seen him be a pretty good hitter, but it is getting to the point where it's frustrating. I think they're going to run him out there until Encarnacion gets healthy, and then I think they're going to give Encarnacion probably a pretty decent shot at first base, maybe a little bit more than a straight platoon. They're not going to give up on Lamont. I know you guys may not want to hear that, but it's always like, well, what do you have a different option?
Right.
You could put Wilmer there, but I don't think they want to put Wilmer there. I think they want to let Wilmer DH, and quite frankly, I think that's the right thing to do.
Right.
So, I mean, Glenn's right. It's an offense. There's players that are performing well below their let's say average. Okay. Those guys, what would happen if those guys got to their average numbers, right? That's sort of how I look at it. But when it's all said and done, I mean, I'm just looking here in front of me, even with those struggles with Lamont and Patrick Bailey has really struggled. Adames has not gotten going. Chapman's kind of hot and cold, right? And there are some issues there, but they still, guys, in Major League Baseball, they have still scored more runs than 18 other teams, including the San Diego Padres.
That's impressive.
So I agree. Like the numbers, they don't look great, but yet I think if you can get those guys to get to where they're supposed to be or close to it, then I think let's judge them at that point. Because it's hard to watch your first baseman hitting 150. There's no question about it.
Right.
And Patrick Bailey, it's hard to watch Bailey hit 170, and it's Adames is striking out too much. So I get it. I feel what you guys are saying, but even with that, their offense has not been terrible. I think you guys could agree with me there, right?
Correct.
And I think there's more there. Now, is there more there to make them a top 3 or 4 team run scoring? No, I don't think so. I think to do that, you may have to do something later on in the year and get somebody. So yeah, I get a little frustration with you guys too, with some guys. But I don't know that at this point anything's going to change as far as you're putting new people out there. That's not the way this group is going to work. I think they're going to just hope these guys come out of it. And at some point, if they don't, then you'll see some changes. But again, listen, I mean, they've scored more runs than the Brewers, the Padres, the Athletics. The Athletics got a really good offense. They've scored more than Cleveland. They've scored more than the Braves, the Twins, the Astros, the Blue Jays. It goes on and on. So yeah, I'm a little frustrated with you guys, but it hasn't been a terrible offense. Would you guys agree with me on that?
I would agree with that. Yes.
I think the Giants have been winning because they've got, and Eric, you and I have spoken about it many a night on our show. It seems to come up quite a lot, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Giants seem to have a lineup where if the top of the lineup is struggling on any given day, you got a guy like VR or you got Matos or somebody. There's always a pick-me-up in the lineup. Two guys who are the pick-me-up, and they carry them. And the next day they do nothing, and then all of a sudden 2 guys at the top of the lineup are producing. And I just think over time, I think the law of average will catch up. But you know what I wanted to ask you, Glenn, and I want to do it early in the show so I don't forget. There's nobody better to get a synopsis, an understanding of Matt Chapman. You got to see Matt play a lot as a young ball player over the last few years. In fact, Matt Chapman, 225 cleanup hitter.
Yeah.
Is he better than that? Is that what you're going to get from him? Give us a breakdown of Matt Chapman.
Yeah, listen, I think that Chapman is your cleanup hitter. I think that's a fair question, but I would follow that up Glenn, by saying with the players they have, we all know the group, right? Who else fits there, right? I don't think he's a cleanup hitter either. I think he's honestly, and I love the guy. I think he's a terrific player, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Matt Chapman to me is probably more of a 5th or 6th place hitter in a really stud lineup, right?
That's fair.
But who else, as you look at their roster, I just don't see anybody else that could hit the cleanup spot, except for maybe Adames, right? I mean, but I know Bob, and you see a lot of managers do that. They put some power hitters and guys who knock in runs. You see a lot of those guys hitting second now. Aaron Judge hits second, right?
Correct.
So that's kind of the new thing. So no, I don't think, Glenn, I don't think he is a cleanup hitter by definition. I just don't know that there's anybody else that you would put there with the group they have.
So what you're saying is he's the best. He's the best we got.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's not a criticism of him. I just think he to me, if you have a Los Angeles Dodgers lineup where it's
deeper lineup.
Yeah,
we don't have a deep
lineup. Then Chapman's he's probably really good hitting 5th or 6th, but that's not the case, with this team. I will say this, and he is one of my favorite players.
I'd agree with you there, Glenn. I've always thought that Chapman, this team, like you said, there's really nobody else. If you look at Matt Chapman's splits, however, he's actually better hitting second, and Adames is better hitting 4th.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Uh-huh.
And if you switch them, here's the splits in the batting order with Matt Chapman, 1 through 9. If you look at his batting average, second, he's 261, and 7th, 262. 4th, he's right about where he's at, 228, and he's hitting 225. I would flip Adames. Adames had a career year last year batting 4th. And you look at Chapman's numbers right there, batting second. He's got 261. He's got a pretty good OPS, 837.
Interesting.
It's to me, I think that's the move that would kind of, I've been saying it since almost day one, that I've never liked Chapman batting 4th or 5th in this lineup. But as you said, they don't have anybody. Traditionally, you look at his numbers batting 7th, really good. Those A's teams, he used to bat a little lower in the order because they had a lot of guys that could hit above him, and but I don't know what they're going to do about this. To me, there's a bat that's missing in the lineup. Maybe when Fitzgerald comes back,
they're missing.
Helps.
I think they're missing Fitzgerald.
They're missing Fitzgerald pretty good, big time, because he not only, he was hitting right around the 300, but it was very early. But his speed plays such a role with the team.
He can lay down a bunt. Oh,
yeah.
I just love that option.
I don't know what they're going to do when it comes to, Jung-Hoo Lee was hitting 340, 350. I told everybody he's going to come back to earth. He's going to come back to earth. I like Lee, but he's going to hit, I said 285 this year, which is really good. If he hits 285 to 290, that's really good. And I do believe in Jung-Hoo Lee. One day, I believe once he really learns the league, I think he will contend for a batting championship. But he's not there yet. I think he's probably, he's hitting, what is Lee hitting right now? He's right
280,
around
like 282, somewhere around there.
286.
Yeah. Okay, so he's it's going to fluctuate. But here in about a month, averages, once you get to a couple hundred bats, they don't move that much, unless you go 1 for 4 and you pretty much go up a point or down a point at that, stage. You're going to have, so guys are starting to settle in. I don't think Lamont Wade hits, what's he hitting, 145?
145, 147, somewhere around there.
145.
Okay. His career batting average is 239. His worst year was 22. He hit 207. Okay. What that means is Lamont Wade is probably going to end up near 220, which means he's going to get hot. He's going to start hitting and balls are going to start falling in. But at the same time, you can't have him come up with a runner on third base in a tie ball game and strike out. He's got to put the bat on the ball in that situation. I don't care what you do. You know, you looked at the 10th inning today, couple of lefties. The first lefty that got a hit off Walker, the ball was outside, and it was probably a good 6 to 8 inches off the plate. But it was, you know, chest level. Easy hit for a batter because he sees the ball so clearly. Just stuck his bat out there and chipped it into left field. You remember that? That was it. And then the winning hit was another ball, just went with it. If the Giants got to learn to, and they've been doing better this year than the last 2 years for sure, but they've got to be better at situational hitting. You cannot continue to have guys strike out when you just need them to put the ball in play.
And, you know, Dan, to your point, and Glenn, I'll ask you just because I've mentioned this on Marty's show. In the beginning of the season, the Giants had some great situational hitting. A little bit recently, it just seems like the situational hitting isn't quite there as it was in the beginning. I don't know. You know, and maybe that 17 game in a row had a huge effect on the club since it's so early in the season and you're going that long without a day off. Maybe the club just got a little bit tired. I mean, it's possible. I mean, that's a lot of games in a row.
Yeah, but a couple of nights ago, Eric, you and I were talking about the opening, maybe if you even want to take in the homestand. So the first 4 series of the season. How excited were we to see small ball return to Oracle Park and the Giants, San Francisco Giants?
He's awesome.
Getting guys on, getting them over, getting them in, getting them on, over, in. We saw such limited situational hitting over the last couple of weeks. Do you remember the other day? Was it yesterday? We laid down a bunt in the 9th inning.
That was a beautiful bunt by Costa.
Beautiful, smart play. And you guys know how big a fan I am. I'm a proponent of the play of Wilmer Flores. I think he's exceptional in clutch situations. But Dan, to your point, you got to give Wilmer credit. He is the epitome of a perfect 2-strike hitter because he changes his entire approach. And I've seen countless times he'll go the opposite field, slices it right in between first and second for a base hit. He's driven in a lot of runs that way this year, not just with the long ball. Mm-hmm. And I think the San Francisco Giants, right on, Eric. San Francisco Giants, we've said the last couple of years, always seem to get the, and Glenn, maybe you can speak to this. There seems to be an infatuation, a love affair these days, makes everybody all tingly. The long ball. Yeah, and I don't think you can just win solely on long ball base, but you need to drive in runs and get them on, get them over, get them in.
Yeah, if you're the Giants and you're thinking that your best offensive attribute is going to be to hit the ball at the ballpark, then you're in big trouble. I don't think that's the case. I do think in years past there has been some guys that they've signed that was sort of the thought process. I think the Soler signing was very because he's just not the kind of player that to me is going to be great in that ballpark. But I do think they understand what kind of player they need to have in that ballpark. I mean, you have guys who are going to hit home runs, but they need to do a few more things. And we were kind of seeing that early in the year. You guys are right. They haven't stole really hardly any bases lately.
Right.
That was kind of a thing early on in the year. They don't have a guy who's going to steal 50, but I do think they have, maybe 3 or 4 guys who could, steal 15 to 20, which that may be better for you as an offense as opposed to having one guy. But yeah, I think recently, maybe their situational hitting hasn't been as good as it was early. They're still doing a good job with runners in scoring position. I get frustrated like you guys do. I hate strikeouts. I just hate strikeouts. And I saw so many last year with a guy on 3rd and 1 out. It drove me crazy.
Yes.
I think it's a little bit better this year. I do, but you still see it sometimes. And I've always been surprised, guys, that I think last year the average of getting guys in from 3rd with less than 1 out at the major league, or less than 2 outs at the major league level, was like 52%, something like that. That always surprised me. Don't you feel like it should be better than that?
You would think so, right? Wow.
Getting that guy in from third with nobody out or 1 out. Major league average, it's not much over 50%.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It seems, don't you feel like it should be more than that?
I always think the worst case scenario is just get the ball in the air, get it in the air, drive them in, take the run.
Easy for us knuckleheads to say, right?
I thought
90-mile-an-hour sliders, but I do think, and you know what, guys, I've asked former professional players that I'm good friends with, I've asked them, I said, guys, you guys were big leaguers. If you stood in the box, and the pitchers it's harder to hit than ever right now. I will give guys credit, but I said, if you stood in the box and said, I'm going to make contact, I'm going to somehow put them on play. It may not be a line drive, but I am not going to strike out. They said, yeah, we could do that. So
really, it's interesting because
that's wow.
I thought one of the best at bats of the season. I don't remember which game it was. It was at Oracle, and it was a walk-off win for the Giants. I don't know if they were playing Colorado. Can't remember, but Bailey came up with runner on third, bottom of the ninth.
First pitch swinging. He dropped it into right field.
He was batting right-handed, and he just fungoed it. All he did is he fungoed it. And it wasn't even a full swing, but it was intentional. You could tell, just like what you said. If you had to get the bat on the ball, could you do it? And he went up there with the right approach. And I think guys that really get a little bit guilty of that, we're seeing it with Adames this year. He's chasing pitches. Chapman's always been notorious for, in my view, he has a swing path that looks to me like it's just pretty much middle of the road. He doesn't chase high. He doesn't chase low. He just has a swing that is, right down the middle, and he swings over or under balls a lot because he doesn't. And this has been my one, if I have any complaint about Matt Chapman, and, I think he's a wonderful ball player. Best third baseman maybe in the game today. Good, solid, better than good. He's an excellent, smart base runner, great clubhouse guy. He's a guy you want on a team. But the one thing I've been critical of Matt Chapman is he doesn't drive in a lot of runs. He's only had one season over 80 RBIs, and that was 2019 when he had that big year of 36 homers, drove in 91 runs. Never has he reached 80 again. And for a guy that generally hits in the middle of the order, he's got to be better at situational hitting. A lot of his big hits come when they're either up a run or two or they're down 3 or 4. He comes through. He's going to come through when in clutch situation. I'm not saying he's automatic out, but I want to see him put the bat on the ball more, like you said, with runners on third base, less than 2 out, because that's the approach the Giants, and I know Buster's really focused and emphasized in the offseason and in spring training, situational hitting. And, the season started out great. They were I think they were leading the league with runners in scoring position with 2 outs, and it was phenomenal. But right now, with guys struggling like Bailey and Wade, and who else is under 200 in that lineup? There's 3 of them, right? Who's the other? Who's the third one?
Cost is 200.
No, it's a regular. It's Wade and
just Wade and Bailey are under 200, I think.
Pretty much. Okay.
Wade, Bailey and Matos, but he's small sample size for him.
Okay. But a lot of guys. It just, I think the approach that they just need to go back to that situational hitting, and sometimes, with, like you said, go for it with 1-0 when you get, no strikes or 1 strike. But when you get to 2 strikes in the count, you've got to, notice how Juan Soto's got a completely different stance with 2 strikes. Completely different. It's like night and day. It's like he spreads his legs even more. He crouches a little more because all he's trying to do is make contact. And Tony Gwynn was a master. None of these guys are Juan Soto or Tony Gwynn, but you got to make that adjustment with 2 strikes. And I don't see a lot of guys doing that on this team.
And what Glenn was saying earlier, it really points to the lineup we have. The fact that who do you call upon? Like Eric and I have said countless times, I'm sure you have as well, Dan. We've been lucky this year, and I know Fitzgerald's out, and Schmitty went down. Schmitty wasn't an everyday player per se.
He was starting to play good when he went down.
Yeah, he was.
But the fact we really haven't been hit by a flurry of injury early, and I mean, last week I nearly dropped my Pepsi can when it's the 9th inning and they have to go to the bench pinch hitting, and they bring in an 097 or 087 hitter. That's all we've got to work with. Glenn, were you surprised that there was not a little more build-up in the offseason adding to this lineup? Because we brought in Verlander, we brought in Adames, we spent a lot of money on one guy, Adames, and it's really not a big difference in the team we saw last year.
Well, I don't know that I'd agree with
Jung-Woo in there. I mean, there's some changes, but I expected more in the offseason. I really did.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember, you basically really added Jung-Hoo Lee as well. Lee only played 35 games last year.
Right.
So you really have a new center fielder. I mean, and you have a new shortstop. You really added Robbie Ray, and that's the pitching side, because Ray only made 7 starts last year, and you added Verlander. I think they looked at some first basemen. I think they looked at some outfielders. Pete Alonso was out there, but listen, I think in that case, was Pete Alonso going to, he went to school in Florida. He's loved in New York. Was Pete Alonso going to come to San Francisco?
It's a good point.
I don't think so. I don't. I think he was going to stay in New York, and they had a battle through a contract and all that. So, I'd have to look at, more names who are available, but I think they pointed at one position that they felt like they really, really, really needed to upgrade in a couple different ways. Offensively, they wanted a little more leadership. That's a Bob Melvin thing. They wanted to, they felt like Adames was their guy. And that's why they really kind of went all in. And once they went all in on him, I don't know how much more they were going to do. Yeah, I mean, as we look now, could they use another bat? Yeah, another bat. Yeah, but if I would have said to you guys, in spring training, hey, Lamont Wade's going to be hitting 145.
I didn't see that. No,
I'm not saying Lamont Wade is should have 8 home runs and 30 RBIs at this point. That's not realistic. He's not that player.
Right.
But again, he's hitting 145. Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody.
Anybody said they see that coming, they're lying. And again, we're not anointing Lamont Wade a future All-Star, and we're not putting all the blame on him. But that is the spot that I think we all like to go to when we talk about what can the Giants do? Where can we go? Because you can't go to catcher. Bailey's too good defensively, so he's going to be in there. That's frustrating. Bailey's frustrating offensively because he just cannot seem to get going. He had a couple of good games in Chicago and takes a step back. But we're going to have to wear that one because he is so good defensively that he's got to be in there. He does. We just have to hope that, he starts hitting. That's a frustrating one for me is Bailey offensively, because this has been going on now. You have to go back to the second half of last year.
Yes.
Right. After that injury.
Now you're 40 games in here, and it's just there's just not a lot going on offensively with him. And I think it's a concern. I do. I think the Giants are a little concerned about that. What's wrong? What are we? Why can't we get this guy going again offensively? Because it's been a while now.
Even drawing the walk.
You got to play him. You have to play him. You just do.
Right.
He's
another way of looking at this, I thought maybe you were going here when you said Lamont Wade hitting 145, but would you have taken if after 41 games, or what do they play? 38 games? What are they? 20? No, 41.
17, right?
Yeah. Would you have if you said Willie Adames is hitting 217, Chapman's hitting 225, Wade's hitting 145, Bailey's hitting 181. That's 4 guys in your lineup that are everyday players, and the highest batting average is 225, and you're sitting at 24 and 17. I think you probably would have said, "I'll take it."
And you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's talk about the positives, because why are they 24 and 17? Starting pitching. Or we'll just say pitching in general. This is something that Buster Posey, I think this is what he wanted, right? He wanted pitching and defense with timely hitting. And right now, the pitching, the starting rotation, Hicks is still he's okay. I still have a little concern. Roop, he was able to go 5 today, and then he started kind of leaking oil a little bit. But the starting rotation right now they're doing a heck of a job. And we talked about the bullpen. You had that hiccup. We only had a couple of hiccups. Ryan Walker had a couple. Of course, Eric Miller. But for the most part, Randy Rodriguez, Taylor Rogers struck out the side today. Birdsong has been doing great. Harrison in his short time has been doing good. Bivens is okay. I mean, just Giants
pitching overall has been very good.
It's doing good, right? That's what's keeping them in these games.
Yeah. The one thing that, I look around baseball, and there's almost like an epidemic of guys hitting under 200 right now. Josh Bell is hitting 150. I was looking at first baseman. I says, how could they upgrade? Oh, Josh Bell. Oh, he's hitting 150. Forget that. And he's had the same at-bats about as Wade. But there are a couple guys that you might be able to go after. And this one's probably a little harder because it's within the division. But Pavin Smith of Arizona, he's a lefty. And he's got speed, and he's got a little power. He's hitting right around 300. I don't know if you can get him out of Arizona, but Rhys Hoskins over at Milwaukee's hitting about 275 right now. Got some power, and I think he's probably a free agent after this year. I think he signed for 2 years or something, or a couple of solo contracts annual. I don't know what his contract is, but I don't think he signed beyond this year. That's a guy that wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg, maybe to me, the guys I want to hang on to as far as pitchers, because I think Milwaukee could use pitching. I don't want to let go of Harrison, Wisenhunt, or Birdsong. I would be okay if you were able to say, okay, they want Landon Roop. All right. Well, hate to give up Roop, but you got to give up something to get like a Rhys Hoskins. Okay. So, or maybe a Mason Black and another minor leaguer. I think the Giants can go after someone like a Rhys Hoskins, and he could be your everyday first baseman. He's got some power, and he's hitting, I don't think he's going to hit 275 for the season because that's not Rhys Hoskins, but he'll probably hit you. I bet if I looked up his lifetime batting average, it's probably in the 240s.
239.
Yeah, 239. Okay. But I think he's more of a threat than what you're seeing with Wade. And, Wade could add to your bench. Giants don't have much on the bench. Wade could be an occasional first baseman against the right pitcher, when you're facing a right hand. But he can also be that pinch hitter. I love what they did with Wilmer today. I love having Wilmer come up in a situational hitting. I want to see Matos play more as the DH. I think the kid needs to. Certain players can pinch hit, and other players like Matos need constant reps. If a guy like Matos, you give him enough reps, plus you got to see what the kid's got. At some point, you got to figure, is he part of your organizational plans for the future or not? I think putting him at DH and then having him play in the field a couple of days here and there, where he's playing 4 to 5 days a week, not once or twice. Okay. Wilmer, he can use 2 or 3 days off a week. He could DH the other days that maybe Matos is not, and he can be a pinch hitter, because you got to have a guy that can come up in a key situation, and Flores is probably the best at it on the team.
He's the best out of it. He is. We talked about it yesterday. I mean, he has a knack for coming in through big moments. I think Glenn, with 2 ends, you talked about it when he was at the Mets, right? Isn't he? What didn't?
He is the all-time career walk-off You know what I'm saying? The all-time career walk-off hitter.
Right. For the Mets.
Walk-off wins.
Yeah.
He's the all-time. And when I thought about it, I said, oh, it's got to be Rusty Staub, or it's got to be, I even threw in Dave Kingman. It's got to be going way back in the annal. Wilmer Flores is the all-time career walk-off king for the New York Mets. Why? Yeah. Situational hitting. And Dan, what you were saying about I totally agree with Dano about getting the young guys in, but didn't they shoot themselves in the foot last year? They had the opportunity, especially last year, to get those guys their at bats. What, Eric? Didn't we have we had a brutal schedule? We weren't going to make the playoffs. We had a brutal August, September. September's was terrible schedule. And why we didn't see the young guys play every day, just let them play out the season, see what we got, and build for this year. We went on a little streak, and all the big guys came back in the Confortos of the world, and we started thinking we were, God's gift to baseball again, instead of playing it the right way.
It's a different organization, though. So last year, you kind of have to just say, okay, that's the way that the organization was ran back then. It's a little bit different now with Buster Posey. So, and you're seeing it, and Glenn, with one end, you made a great point. You don't see the Giants making all these moves, which is I love. Because by this time, years previous, there would have already been 10 moves made. You're rolling with your guys. You got to see what you got. Because, again, baseball is a game of repetition. You got to see what they have. You got to give them a run. And then at that point, then, make your decisions. So to go back to the pitching, Glenn, are you happy with the pitching, with the way the Giants are throwing the ball?
Absolutely. I mean, there's really, I don't see any major issues with the pitching. I mean, the starters have been fine. We'll keep an eye on Hicks, and see how he's a Hicks. I mean, I think the Hicks experiment, his stuff is so good. I think you have to stay with it. I think you have to hope there's a reward at the end. Roop will keep a close eye on him. But the thing is, guys, is now, and I've said it to you guys many times. Last year, there was a period of time where the Giants had 2 starters.
Yes, right.
Well, it's a whole different ballgame now. So they have this great depth. They have the 5 guys that are in there right now. You have Birdsong and Harrison in the bullpen. Think about that. Two terrific young arms. And I'm okay with what they're doing with those guys. I really am. I mean, there's a plus to having them in the bullpen as well. And you got guys in AAA that are pitching well. So there's a bunch of depth, which is good for your team. It's good for the when it comes time to think about making trades and all that. So I have no problem with that. As far as the young guys go, I mean, listen, were there opportunities they could have played the young guys more last year? But let's not forget, they did play Elliot Ramos every day, and they did play Tyler Fitzgerald every day. And that's 2 young guys that they gave regular jobs to last year. And they ran.
Well, the only thing I would say,
right?
That's true. The only thing I would go back on that with Ramos is they only gave Ramos the job by default because Lee got hurt.
I understand, but they did stay with him.
They had to. He was so good that they couldn't take him out. He basically said, "You're not taking me out."
Well, I say in the second half, he slowed down in the second half.
He did slow down, especially against right-handed pitching. But Glenn, let me ask you this, because you're talking about the pitching. Guys are pitching well in AAA as well. At what point do the Giants trade off some of their excess pitchers that they have for, some real hitters? You look at Baltimore, they've been holding on to hitters, and they have the worst pitching in baseball. They have like no starters. They have 5 guys that are number 4s or 5s in their rotation.
And they're dying in the standings too.
Yeah, exactly. And that shows you why pitching is so important.
Yes.
And the Giants are, playing well above 500 because of their pitching. But at what point, Baltimore's never gotten rid of all these young studs. And at some point now they're veterans. You can't say they're prospects anymore. I mean, even Kobe Mayo, they just brought him up. They sent him back down.
He's back down. Yep.
Is that a natural? I mean, it seems like a natural fit. Like, hey, Baltimore, you need some pitching. We need a bopper. Somebody that can.
Yeah, I'm just looking, and you're right. I've thought that a lot, and I know people have said that too. It's like, okay, who's a good trade partner? Who needs young pitching? And the first team that pops into your head is the Baltimore Orioles, because they do have a lot of good young hitters,
right?
And pitchers. So there seems to be a potential marriage there. If you're looking for trade partners for the Giants, I would agree with that. I know the Mayo kid and the Kierstead, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right.
Kierstead, yeah.
But I'm looking at his numbers, and he's not doing much this year. But again, a young left-handed hitting outfielder. But to answer your question of when is it time to maybe think about trading some of this depth, I think it's this year. I really do, because I think you guys would agree with me. I don't think the Giants are that far off from being a legitimate team. They're pitching.
No, they're not.
So are they one hitter away? Maybe, maybe two. Yeah. But okay, then let's find out what positions we can improve, and you have the assets to make these deals. I really do think you do. Or, listen, if you said, hey, maybe we're looking at getting somebody pretty big, maybe Matos is in the deal. Listen, we all love Matos, right? We all want to play, but none of us can sit here and say he is absolutely going to be a star.
Correct.
I don't think any of us, I think we like what we see, but what I have this little, I'm just not 100% sure yet.
Right.
He still makes some mistakes, playing the game the right way, but I like the kid. But if you want to get the bat that is going to put the Giants in the conversation, it's going to have to be a big bat, and you're going to have to give up somebody like that, or one of these, maybe Roop, maybe Kyle Harrison, or maybe Carson Wisenhunt, who's really.
If I'm dealing with one of those guys, though, I'm not selling them for a rental. I'm getting somebody that's got minimum of 2 to 3 years of team control.
And how many guys like that are out there? First of all, you look at the bad teams, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, who's got a player that they'll give up? I know the Giants like the Luis Robert, the center fielder for the White Sox, but everybody likes him. Right. So you're into a little bidding war there, but that's the kind of team you sort of have to get to. But then where are you going to play him, right? That's the thing. There's some spots that are somewhat locked down for the Giants. I think you guys would agree. Left field, center field, right field. Yaz is going to be a free agent, so you could probably get somebody to play there. Third, short's locked up. Second, first, so where are your spots, right? That's sort of how you have to. Where can we improve?
As you said, Bailey's got to play. So I think the biggest glaring hole is first base as far as the biggest need. Right field, Yaz is having a pretty decent season, and you trust him for sure when he's out in the field. I don't think he's going to hit 275, but I also don't think he's going to hit 220 or 230 this year, because he said he changed his approach as a hitter. He said the last couple of years I was trying to kill the ball, and he said obviously that didn't work too well. And I like hearing that. And so he said, I'm going back. I'm trying to become a hitter again. And anytime that a guy focuses on becoming a hitter instead of just swinging as hard as you can for the fences, you're going to have a higher batting average. So I think Yaz will probably end up around 250 this year.
Glenn likes their pitching. I think the fact you've got Hicks in your rotation now, and there's a guy out there like Alcantara, who they can move off of for prospects. I think he would be a great addition.
If you go that route, that's the, and you know what, Glenn? Yeah, I like that idea too. The okay, we can't really find that big hitter that we want. There's not a Vlad Guerrero out there that's going to boom. He's going to be. So what about if we double up on aces?
There you go.
Yeah. what about if we go get another number one? That to me is not a horrible idea, because you don't have to. You're going to have a spot for him, right?
Mhm.
You're not pigeonholed to, well, we can only really, we got position players everywhere, but we need a second baseman or a first baseman. Here you're like, give us another number one starter. We'll find a spot for him.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. You can never have not enough pitching, because and I think Alcantara would be excellent. He's having a rough year, but you're not just getting Alcantara for this year. You're going to get a much better Alcantara next year when he's another year removed from Tommy John.
Look at
I think it's easier to get a good pitcher. I think it's easier to get a really good pitcher than get a really good hitter.
Yeah, probably.
Because I think really good hitters this era hit 240, and nobody's going to give them up.
Yeah, I agree. And if you have the assets to get one or the other, it probably won't cost you quite as much to get a pitcher, I don't think. And so, I'm going to start looking too at guys that you could get. But Alcantara is a name that is going to be out there big time because of how good he is. He's coming back from Tommy John. So,
right.
You know what? He'll figure it out. He's got, I believe, I looked the other day, I think he's got 2 more years on a contract, maybe 2 more after this year.
I think they move him in somebody jumps and gets Alcantara in June, I think.
Yeah,
I think, and here's why I say that. Yuri Perez, he was only 22, but he was a flamethrower, and he had Tommy John. He's in rehabs right now. He's had 2 rehabs. They said he's going to pitch 8 minor league games. So he's got 6 more starts. That's about 35 days, roughly. That puts us into mid-June. And the trade deadline is what? Generally the last day of July, first day of August, somewhere around there. So I think they're probably Miami's going to move them. But there'll probably be a couple of GMs that, make calls early, and if they get a good deal, they moved off of Luis Arias early last year. Remember in the offseason, I said, go get Arias, because they traded him in May. Yeah, he's going to get traded. Go get Arias.
Hey guys, so Alcantara, as I look here, he signed through 2026 at very affordable. Right. He's into a 5-year, $56 million deal. And there's a team option for 2027. So you basically would have control of him through 2027. So two and a half years. I mean, Glenn, I think that's a good second idea. If you can't find that hitter, well, then you just got to deal with that offense, score, just allow less. It means you don't have to score as much. But
I'm also waiting for the first domino to fall, because Eric and I have talked about this as well at length. I know Lou is a big proponent of this too. The San Francisco Giants, they have this love affair with players, and they just don't seem to. There's a fear factor about trade. Even Buster was on KMBR back a month ago and said, I'm weary because what if we trade him and he's a good player? Well, what are we talking about? You got to be that's how good teams get better. You've got to be willing to make your move and improve the team in the best way you see fit, and not worry about, what if the trade doesn't work out? You got to pull the pin on trades, especially
I think Buster will. I think he will when the moment comes. One of the things that he's trying to do with this team is create a stable environment where players kind of know what to expect. Players in the previous years, they didn't know where they were coming or going. They didn't know if guys in Sacramento, I got called up. Is it just because I'm going to be platoon? Because they got a lefty going, and I'll get in 2 of the 3 games, and I'm going back to Sacramento. I mean, this stuff was going on constantly in the last 5+ years, and nobody, knew exactly what to expect. This team has not made a move other than injury to Casey Schmidt and Tyler Fitzgerald. Mm-hmm. And the other move they made was Trevino and bringing up Harrison. That was it. those are the only 3 moves they've made in 40 plus games. That's, you're talking, you're a third of the way through the season right now. No, wait.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah, right.
Or a quarter. 40 times 4. Yeah, quarter. You're 25% through the season, and they've basically not made any crazy moves. I mean, Trevino for Harrison, Trevino came in as a non-roster guy. He earned a spot, didn't perform up to what he used to be with Oakland. And, it was a natural move. Harrison kind of showed that he was ready to knock the door back down and say, hey, my fastball's alive again. It's up to 97. What was it down to last year? Like 90, 89, 90 at times, his fastball. And he had that shoulder issue. So I like the stability, and I'm not one to just say go make a move to make a move, because I think there's a part of this team chemistry that the guys are feeling connected. Now, if they don't keep performing, you have to make a move. And I think they're getting close with Wade, but I still think Buster will give him another couple of weeks through the end of May. I do.
Well, till May 23rd, because that's when Gerard is eligible to come out with the IL.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything with Wade at this point. And you know what? As Glenn said earlier, he's been a pretty good hitter. Last year
he has a history, and another thing too, Dan. Right, him taking walks.
Yeah, I mean, last year at this time before he got hurt, he was flirting with a 500 on base percentage.
Yeah. And then he got hurt, and he was never the same when he came back.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's hard because is he an all-star caliber player? Probably not. But we've seen him be pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen what he can do, and what he can do would really help this team a lot, right? Because he'd be hitting in the clean, or he'd be hitting in the leadoff spot,
right?
Yes, and Yaz, who's having a really good year, would be hitting probably 6th. So that would lengthen your lineup out, right? So that's the hard part, because it's not like we've never seen Lamont be pretty good offensively. But
Dan, when it comes to Gerard, I think the jury's out. You haven't seen enough of Gerard.
Well, you haven't seen nearly enough.
I remember watching your channel last year. I was the only guy that was high on him. I was the only guy high on him. And you guys said don't worry about it. He'll never play for San Francisco. I mean, because where did he come from?
Mexico.
He was in the Mexican League. Why? Because nobody else was lined up to bring him in.
Yeah.
He's Dan,
he hits the ball hard,
Eric.
Yeah,
Absolutely. The ball comes out with a pop off his bat.
Yeah,
but I got to see him produce before I'm resting my future on a Gerard Encarnacion.
Yeah, it's too much. And you're right. We want to see him get back just because we think he can help. Right. I mean, a powerful hitter who's got some pop but you're right. We need to see a lot more of him, and to for the fans or really any of us to put that all on him and say, listen, we need this guy back because he's going to make our offense a whole heck of a lot better. That's probably not completely fair to him because really he doesn't have much of a track record. Just what we saw, we liked. And what we saw in spring training,
Glenn, I want to
put
you on the hot seat here. Not too hot, but you're the GM of this team. What are you doing to improve it going forward?
Good question, Dan.
Listen, I would say I'd give the first base situation, another couple weeks. I would see if Encarnacion is the answer or part of the answer. Is he an upgrade? Could he be an upgrade? I would keep an eye on Fitzgerald. That may be a spot that, and I'm not saying you're dumping Fitzgerald. I'm saying maybe is there a second baseman out there with some pop where you could do that, and maybe make Fitzgerald a super utility guy, which we've talked about. But Adames is going to be in the lineup every day. You'd have to move Fitz around a little bit. We don't know if Fitzgerald's a regular player just yet. We think maybe he is. So that's a tough spot for me, the second base spot. So I would look at, first base, second base, maybe an outfielder, but it would have to be somebody that I know it's going to be here and can play, be here after this year. And then Glenn's idea of a starting pitcher, I would think seriously about that. If you're having trouble, coming up with a hitter that is in a position where you need that. So it's not easy. It's if you really kind of think about this whole thing. But definitely, I would look for a hitter first. And I'm going to give these guys, another couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I've said all along, and I've said it to you guys, 50 games is kind of my marker of like, okay, we've given that guy enough time, or, maybe this is an area where we need to think about making a move. And I'd like to see Encarnacion get back and just kind of see if he can make any difference in this lineup.
That makes sense. Glenn, what do you think about the bullpen? We saw Walker give up another base hit. Granted, you had the stupid ghost runner on second base. It doesn't help. Would you make a move to maybe put Duvall? Because Duvall's been throwing the ball really well. Would you look at maybe swapping roles as far as Duvall and Walker at this particular time?
Yeah, I would. And the thing with Walker, and you guys are seeing it, I don't think his stuff, as we like to use his stuff, right? Yeah. I don't think it's as good as last year. I don't think he's throwing as hard. I don't think he has command of his slider.
Right.
He's missing with the slider really bad.
And he's hitting people with the fastball. That's a huge secret.
And to me, that like even today, fastball away, but not a lot of sink, a little up and out. It just doesn't look like the velocity's there. That good movement, that good two-seam movement. He gets it sometimes, but not every time.
Mm.
But the slider to me, it looks a little out of way. I mean, last year, guys, he was 97
right
with his slider. This year, it looks more like 94, 95, once in a while, a little higher. So to me, stuff is not the same. I don't know why. That's a concern. And I would kick around the idea of starting to get Duvall some more of the ninth inning. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Why not, man? The guy's he's showing it. And what I like too is he's holding runners on. Yeah. Granted, there hasn't been some situation where he's had guys, but the times that he's had the guy at first, he's actually throwing over there. And I noticed he's got a slide step now. Before, he really didn't have much of a slide step, so that's nice to see. He's understanding, okay, I got something to improve on, and that's it. And I love the way that he's been throwing the ball. So, yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I still love that idea of another starting pitcher. I was saying this last year, Robbie Ray, I was like, don't expect much from him. He's coming back from Tommy John after only like 13 months when he got his first start. And the last thing to come back is a command. And Dan, you have a great video of Brebbia when he's talking about how he felt better, more at about a year and a half than it was
about 18
right at
months,
a year.
He said he felt better, yeah.
Because look at Robbie Ray. The guy he's up there in the top 5, maybe around the top 5 in starting pitchers. The guy is throwing the ball really well, and with going back to Sandy, good next year. I can imagine what he would be like next year. Again, when he's fully recovered and he's got that command back, because he could be something. I love that idea of maybe just getting another starting pitcher and just rolling with aces.
But the thing too, though, is you need that guy for this year.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know what I mean? Because we're talking about
point.
Getting this team to the postseason this year. Yeah, I think Sandy Alcantara, let's use him as an example. He'll probably be better next year than he is this year.
Right.
But he needs to be good this year if you're going to go get him, because that's what we're talking about.
That's a good point.
Right now, he has not been good. I mean, his ERA is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's high. Yeah. You know what I would do with this team?
Yeah.
I would do something a little different with this team. And it would be to strengthen what I would think would strengthen both. My concern with Hicks is Hicks has got great stuff, but once he gets to the third time through the lineup, which is usually around the fifth inning, he starts to falter. And he also struggles a little bit in the first inning. But I'd love to have like what the Cleveland Indians, when they were the Indians, when they had, what was the lefty that they had? Was it Miller? What was Andrew Miller. When they had that bullpen, you got to the fifth inning with a lead, the Indians were winning.
Yeah, that was
year.
Gnarly.
Now, if I move Hicks to the bullpen and I bring in Birdsong to start, and I've got a bullpen, and I'd also call up Carson Wisenhunt to be in the bullpen because he's got two fantastic pitches. He doesn't have a great third pitch, but he's got, pretty decent fastball and that wicked changeup. As a reliever, you can get away with two pitches. So now I've got a bullpen. I'd put Walker be about my sixth inning guy, and then I'd make, Hicks the seventh inning guy, Rogers the eighth inning.
Hey, don't forget about Rodriguez because that guy is.
Yeah. And then you got but you're going to have certain days where guys are not available,
right?
And you could have 6, 7. You could have one of the most wicked bullpens in all of baseball with Hicks throwing, because I believe his velocity will go up to about 102 if he's just throwing one inning. He conserves himself and throws 97 and occasionally hits 100. But he can't go out there and throw 90 pitches at 100 plus. So, and then you make Birdsong the starter, and this bullpen becomes really almost like an impenetrable wall. I mean, you would have Wisenhunt and Miller as your lefties, your righties. You got
Harrison.
Harrison.
Yeah. Did I say Harrison? I meant Harrison. That's right. And Harrison. Yeah.
You'd have three lefties.
Three lefties, and you'd balance the bullpen out much more. Yes. And you'd have 5 righties. You'd have an 8-man bullpen that is killer. And then you have some options to, some of these other younger guys down in Sacramento, maybe that could be traded. Like you mentioned, Glenn Matos. Maybe Luciano can be thrown into a package deal for that special hitter or starter. Don't forget Marco Luciano. We kind of forget about, we say him and Matos, and they haven't really done anything, but they're still like 23, 24 years old.
Yeah, they're young.
I mean, it's about 24 when most big leaguers come to the big, guys from the minors. Aaron Judge was just 24 or something, almost 25 when he came up. So guys that come up at 20, that's a rarity. The Sotos and the
Harpers
and Ellie Dela Cruz and those. I mean, those are anomalies. But we might get one with Eldridge next year. You might see Eldridge possibly. I don't think you see him before mid-August at the earliest if he comes up at all this year, just because they don't want to throw away his rookie status. I mean, and he could play up to like 40 games or something like that and still maintain his rookie status. But I don't want to see him rush him either. Just let him develop. Let him develop. So, yeah. I don't know. What do you think of that? Because my concern with Hicks is that they leave him in this rotation and that he kind of wears out like he did last year, and then he doesn't really have any help to the bullpen in August and September when you might need him. If you're going to be in this wild card hunt, I think you need Jordan Hicks to be healthy all year long. And I don't think you're going to get 6 months of him being the full-time starter. I think once he gets to 120 innings, he's going to plateau. And then last year they pushed him, and he had tired arm he got or something. Yeah,
he had an issue with the shoulder last year.
Yeah. I would just, I would like to see it. It's not like he's been super consistent as a starter either. He's had a couple of really, really good outings, and he's had some pretty stinky ones. He's probably been the most inconsistent starter of the 5. And Roop's kind of catching him. But the top 3, I mean,
and I tell you what,
Ray and Verlander and Ray have been
in a short
solid
series. If we're talking wild card here, right? That's gonna get you somewhere. Having those guys, having those top 3, that's all you really need. Once you get into the playoffs, right? You just need really 3 good guys to take you the way. Giants got lucky, of course, in 2014 when Bumgarner was pretty much the only guy. But man, the pitching,
right.
Man, the pitching is gonna do wonders for this club. It's just right now they're capitalizing it, and look, they're 24-17. That's nothing to snuff at. So,
And Glenn should know all about the need for starting pitching. Am I wrong, Glenn? The last time the Oakland Athletics had appeared in the postseason, they threw a bullpen game.
Yeah, I think you're right. How'd that go?
They got the early lead and it looked good, and I was like, "Holy crap, they're gonna win!" It was like 4 or 5-0, and they were playing. I believe it was. Were they playing the Yankees? No, who were they playing? Yeah, they were playing. It was it was a one to get in or something. Anyway,
Liam,
and they threw a bullpen game, and I was like, "What is that? What they've become?" Oh my god!
Liam Hendricks started at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, I think Judge hit a home run off him early.
Yeah, they had the early lead, and then the Yankees come back.
Glenn, I get your take on that. I know you like Hicks as a starter, and you know what? If they leave him there, I just hope doesn't. Garrett Crochet last year was great, but he wasn't gonna. He never pitched so many innings that you could keep him all the way as a top starter through the end of the year. Guys that are being, been relievers converted to starters, it takes a couple years to really build them up, because you don't go from pitching 60 innings to all of a sudden throwing 150. It takes a couple years. Hicks, I think he got in, if I'm not mistaken, last year. What did he pitch last year? 110 or 130, something like that.
Somewhere around there.
But what's your thought on that, Glenn? Of maybe having Birdsong come into the rotation and having Hicks go to the bullpen to make the bullpen even stronger?
No, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I don't think, unless Hicks just completely implodes, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, they will watch him closely with the same concern that I think we all have. How's he going to be in July and August? He's worked really hard to make that not be an issue, but we don't know yet because, we haven't seen that from him yet, that he can do it. So unless he really starts getting knocked around, I don't see it happening.
This is my concern here.
It's not a terrible idea.
That's my concern. That's his career. He pitched the most innings last year, 109 and 2/3. But before that, it was 77, 65, 61, 43, 28. 10 was just a few appearances. But, that's a big stretch to go from 70. I don't know. I lost that there. But to go from a high of like 60 to 70 innings to 110, to expect him to get even to 150 this year.
Yeah, if he got to 150, I think everybody would be.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
absolutely. But too, if you did that and put Birdsong in the rotation, you're really taking one guy and you're switching them, really, right?
Right.
So is Hicks going to be as good as Birdsong out of the bullpen? That's a concern, I guess, because Birdsong's been good, and I've said this. He's kind of this weapon that a lot of teams don't have. And we could go back and forth about whether it's the right way to use Birdsong. He should be starting. He's fine. That's going to be a discussion as long as he's in the bullpen, I think that's going to be a subject to kick around. But no, I mean, I don't think it's unrealistic for Hicks to at some point maybe run out of gas again, but maybe a little later in the year, and then you got to have somebody ready to step in,
right?
Whether it be Kyle Harrison or Birdsong.
Yeah,
but I think he'll be monitored. I think they will monitor Hicks, but not to the point where you're like, oh boy, ooh man, it's July and he just had a bad start. He's running out of gas. I don't think they want to look at it like that. I think
they're going to look at it in a totality rather than just one specific game.
They like what he's got. It's a little inconsistent, no question about it. And they're going to keep doing this until they feel like, for a specific reason, we need to make a change and get him out of there. But again, this is where they got a lot of depth, and that's the good news. They could do something like this if needed, or if somebody got hurt. They're really in pretty good shape, depth-wise pitching.
What's the team like from your perspective? What are you hearing as far as their belief that are they thinking that they can win the division this year, or are they thinking playoffs is?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, listen, they have to feel that way, right? Because I think they know that they have a pretty good team. Players are generally, I think, going to be more confident in their team than maybe even the fans are. I think that's the way they are, because that's the way they have to be. You have to feel like, you know what, we're pretty good. And I think they are pretty good. And I think the players feel like they're pretty good. Again, we're talking about this right after a really tough weekend where you lose 3 in a row and you're kind of hacked off and you're disappointed in the team. But listen, they're not scared of anybody. And I think they have confidence that they're a pretty good team. They also realize, what they're up against here. It's the Dodgers and it's the Padres, and they get it, but they know I think they have full confidence they're a good team, and I think they have the attitude, let's just get in. If we get in, you know what? Watch out, because, we've been through a lot this year. That's a long way down the road, but I think absolutely they have confidence that they can compete and maybe even pull something off, more so than maybe even the fans and maybe even all of us feel. But I would rather have the players be really confident than have all of us be absolutely, oh yeah, they're going to win it all. I want the players to feel that way, because that's the way you do.
Hey, before we get out of here, Glenn, news broke today earlier. Bud Black, 9 seasons with the Colorado Rockies, has been shown the door. We were talking about this on Marty's show. What is it, about a week or so ago? Wondering how much longer are they going to keep going to Bud Black? Well, it looks like we found out the answer.
Yeah, Harry Ralston Black, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. But listen, at some point, it's become kind of a disaster in Colorado. Yeah. Not just this year. It's tough sledding there. And if you think about the Rockies, guys, obviously it's been an extremely bad year this year, but they've been bad for a while now.
Yes.
And they're in a very, very difficult division, playing in a ballpark that's funky and strange, and people wonder whether they can ever win there. They've had some good teams, but can you consistently win there? So, it's not great right now there.
Did you guys hear what Dave Roberts, manager of the Dodgers, said?
Yeah. Was it Casey Stengel? No, is that what you said?
There it is right there.
Yeah.
You know what?
Crazy.
Well, I think it's true.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, they just don't have a lot of players. They have a guy that I would think about taking, though.
Brenton Doyle?
Ryan McMahon.
Oh, third base, Ryan McMahon. Yeah. What would you do? Put him at second?
Guys? He can play second and he can play first.
Yes. That's a good. Yeah, I like that. He's a left-hander.
Yep. He's having a bad year. Who can hit? He's been an all-star. He's got good power.
Yeah. I like Ryan McMahon.
I like throwing names out there to you guys and see what.
After making a managerial move, though, it's a good time to give him a call.
Right?
Who knows? I mean, it's the Rockies. Who knows? They may just give him.
I got to get out of here shortly, but before I go, I got to go over to the radio studio. So, Glenn,
Yes.
I told you before we went to the show, big fan of your work.
Oh, thank you.
Is that a dozen? Even dozen? Give me some background on the awards I see up there. I got no awards. And I see
those are my Emmys. They're Northern California broadcast Emmys. There's I think 13 of them from the
beautiful,
mostly from the work with the A's and stuff. So
Right
they give
on.
them out every year.
Nice.
I mean, I guess I was doing a decent job over there. Maybe not everybody did that, but
Beautiful. And I got a question for the broadcaster, because that's what I used to do. I used to do play-by-play, but I did hockey for 18 years.
oh my gosh, I can't believe I could never do that. Tough sport to do play-by-play.
I love it, but it was time to walk. The old body gives out after a while, just being on the buses, I'll tell you. So my question is, how tough is it in baseball, especially? Because it's really theater of the mind. Hockey, I can do that all day long because my mouth, my those teeth you wind up,
Yeah.
and they just go. My wife says I'm going to be dead and my mouth's still going to be going.
Yeah.
So I can do a little hockey, but baseball's theater of the mind, and you've got to be creative, and you got to be able to talk and use the media guide. And how tough is it when the ball club's not winning? If you're the broadcaster, for example, in Colorado, and you had I'm sorry to say, but I'm sure there were a few years in Oakland as well.
Absolutely.
How tough is it?
You know what? I always felt like it was obviously much more fun when your team is good. That's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simple. We all know that. But once the game started, honestly, whatever your the win-loss record was did not really matter to me. I didn't feel it. I wasn't like, oh, it's the second inning and we're in last place. This sucks. I never felt like that. Every game was its own thing. And once the first pitch was thrown, it really didn't matter to me if the team was good, bad, first place, last place. It matters more like the next morning, when you look at the standings and, oh man, we lost again. And here or the team is in first place and you're like, this is so great. Right. But once you sit in the booth, first pitch thrown, I always felt like it was just
home.
I don't want to say just another game, because that's not, I realize that those games are a big deal. I mean, I miss it a lot. I wish I was doing it, but yeah, it's just every game you just kind of got to do it like, forget about the record. Doesn't matter. That's the way I looked at it anyways. And that kept you from allowing the disappointment of a bad season or the euphoria of a good season to kind of affect your broadcast. And you didn't want that to happen. You wanted the game to affect the broadcast, not the team's, one-loss record.
Well, it's great when you're winning. I told Eric just last week on the show, after 18 years, I retired to go classic rock morning show.
That's not so bad.
And then the next that next season, the guy who replaced me, he got a ring.
Oh, anyway.
Son of a bitch. Oh.
Life's not fair, man.
You know what? It's not. I'll tell you. And sometimes you know what it's like too when you got a great team. I was heartbroken one season when we had Marc-Andre Fleury, who went on to a 20-year NHL season, and how we lost in the semifinals. I still, to this day, the newspaper called me recently. We were doing a story about it, and I sometimes you just not meant. It ain't in the cards, right?
Yeah.
But it sucks when you've got a team and you can win. And then I tell you, a grown adult, I remember calling I had to do the post-game show of the playoff game. And when it's over, I was nearly in tears. I had a hard time getting through the post-game show. I'm like, what the hell just happened? I was supposed to win a ring this year and we're gone. We're out to a team that got swept in the finals. So it's a tough gig. I'm telling you, your classic work, great on the mic, and man, I hope to see you back in the.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind. I appreciate that, and we'll see. Maybe.
Yeah.
If not,
Tangy says for many seasons, Glenn was the reason to tune into the A's games. Great to hear him again, and he's coming. And that's coming from a Giants fan.
Can I ask one more question? One more question about the broadcasting. That is, what was it like to work with Ray Fosse? He seemed to you two seem to be a perfect connection.
Absolutely, he was the best. I miss him dearly. I really do. I think about him a lot. He passed away in 2021. Somewhat, I don't want to say, it was a little unexpected, but unfortunately that summer, I sat next to him a lot. We did a lot of games together, and I could see something was wrong. Something was wrong physically. His health was not, he just didn't look right. And, I asked him a couple times, hey, you okay? And, he was a tough guy. Right. And I remember feeling like something's not right. Something's not good here. And unfortunately he died that fall.
Wow.
He was great, and he was fun. And we had kind of a cool connection, guys, because he was teammates with my brother.
Right. At Cleveland. Yeah.
1976 and 1977, Ray started with Cleveland, came to the A's, won a couple titles, and went back to Cleveland. And so we always kind of had that fun connection, right? I was a teenager at that time, but so that I thought brought us close together because we had something in common, right? Just like, I remember it like it was yesterday. And he was just fun. He had the ability to be a homer, but he did it the right way, right? And he loved his A's, and he was loyal to his A's. He didn't like it when they lost. He liked it when they won. Sometimes it affected his broadcast a little bit, but he was a good man and, prepared. If I showed you the stuff that he prepared, it was crazy. How much he prepared, and I learned a lot from him doing stuff. So
that's awesome.
He was great. Yeah, he really was. And, I loved him and I miss him, and I couldn't have asked for a better guy to work with, for all those reasons. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, one question before we let you go here and wrap this up. Senior would like to know, what do you think about the SAC A's? He likes to call them SAC because he lives in Sacramento. So even though they're the A's only, or the Athletics, Senior has added SAC on there. What do you think of the team?
Well, I think they got a nice young team. I don't honestly, guys. 100% honest. I don't really watch the A's I just don't really, for what? I just don't want to. You guys can figure that out on your own.
Yeah.
But I do know they have a nice young team with some really, really good young players. Looks like they may be a little short pitching wise,
right.
But they got some good hitters. I'm looking forward to seeing them in San Francisco next weekend.
That's right.
As far as them playing in Sacramento, I don't know. I just think it's weird. I don't think it's right. To be playing in a minor league ballpark when you really could have been playing at the Coliseum, even if it's for, the 3 years leading up to Las Vegas. I don't know. It doesn't look right. It doesn't smell right. I don't know what's going on up there. I haven't been up there. I don't have any desire to go up there. And we don't know what's going on with the Las Vegas thing. What is there a shovel in the ground yet? I don't think so. But they claim that it's going to happen this summer and all that. But it's weird to me. I don't think it's right. I don't think it was handled right. And I think there's three entities to blame. I think Major League Baseball is to blame. I think the city of Oakland is to blame. And I think the organization is to blame. I think they all three are equally at fault to not be able to get something done. And then to have your team move 70 miles away temporarily to a minor league park, it just seems very odd to me. Something else should have been done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'd be pretty wild. I'm kind of rooting for? I'm rooting for an ALCS of Tampa and the A's. I think that would be so just funny to baseball to have the American League Championship Series in two minor league parks.
Yeah,
I could see them.
Where it would be played, right? It'd be played at Oracle Park. That's where.
Yeah. Yep, it would be Oracle Park. Or maybe even a Coliseum, and then Tampa Bay will probably use Miami. I wouldn't be surprised if they use Miami. Yeah.
Dan, I'll be happy if we get into the month of May playing 500 baseball, and you're talking about weird crap like that. Come on, Dano. Come on, Danny.
I'm just a cynic when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know what? You deserve it if it happens. But I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. See those young teams, though, like Tampa. I enjoy watching Tampa on the MLB package, the A's. A lot of these young teams, they're doing it. These organizations doing it right, building from the ground up. The Giants, I want to see them get a good couple of drafts under Posey and redevelop their minor league status.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, guys.
I think we're ready to shut this down now.
Yeah. We had Lou. You know, we can bring
yeah,
Lou
bring on Lou.
Bring Lou back into the
there
room.
He is. The man.
Lou,
I'll back up for a minute. Go for it, Lou.
Yeah, Lou. Any final thoughts on this?
Fire up the mic.
Hey, Glenn. First of all, good luck on your podcast. I subscribed so I could help you out.
Did you really?
Yeah, of course I did.
Thank you, Lou.
Offline, no problem. Hey, I just also wanted to say, I think what made you great at what you do is you didn't try to be like your brother. You're your own person, and the one thing about the A's, they had you, they had Papa, which basically you guys were your own guys. Because I think in your line of work, there's a lot of pressure. Your brother him and Kruko have become so huge in the Bay Area. I love that you didn't go that, you were your own person. So I just wanted to say job well done on that.
Oh, thank you.
Because when I think of you, I don't think of you as Dwayne's brother. I think of you with the A's and your great broadcasting job. So I just wish you good luck in your future. I hopefully we'll see you back on the mic, on TV, and good luck with the podcast. And thank you for coming on this show. You've been a huge enjoyment. And I know, compared to other people we get, I think you came up with some great ideas. You weren't really a huge homer. You actually spoke from the mind and a fan. So I want to say thank you.
Lou? Refreshing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate all that. I do.
Glenn, did you do any hockey? Did you do any SEALs or anything back in their infancy or anything over in Oakland? Do you do any hockey?
No, I did some sideline reporting for the Sharks for about 5 years, late 90s into the early 2000s. Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, so I got a nice taste of what the NHL was all about.
You would know when I worked in the American Hockey League, one of the guy who went on to be the radio broadcaster of the Sharks, his name is Dan Rusanowski.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Dan was over with the New Haven Nighthawks, I believe.
Oh really? Yeah. Yeah, no, of course I knew Danny very well. Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't travel with the team. I just did the home games, but it was great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a fun group. Danny was great. Randy Hahn and Drew Remenda were great. So they were very nice to me. They knew I was more of a baseball guy than a hockey guy, but they were very patient with me, and I learned a lot. So it was a good experience.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you tonight.
Hey, everybody out there listening, we have almost combined about 300 people watching on YouTube and Twitter. Make sure you go subscribe to Glenn's new podcast. It's called The Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. It's all about the Giants. Get over there and sub. He's got just about 300 right now. Should be able to push him up to 400 tonight if everybody would get over there. And you're probably not going to get as well-rounded of a Giant show other than, when you listen to Glenn's show, because he's got not only the knowledge of the game, being in the ball game, broadcasting it for many, many years, he's got a lot of insight into the Giants that some of us don't get that knowledge. And so
I think he should get a co-host like Robert Rothberg, and that would just put it right over the top.
Hey, I'm up for anything, right?
Glenn,
as I like to say, I know some people over at the Giants. That's what we say.
There you go.
Glenn, this is Lou. When is your show going to be? When are you going to do it? Do you have anything?
He's already doing it.
We started doing it. In fact, our next show, we're going to do a live show on a Wednesday at 7:00, a live stream, kind of a post-game, post-series from the Giants Diamondbacks. So I'm trying to do one, maybe two live streams a week. and I'm trying to get some shorter videos out too, which has been fun. So
awesome.
So check it out on Wednesday at 7:00. We'll talk about the Diamondbacks. So we'll talk about the A's and the Giant series coming up as well. So I really appreciate everything you guys have done. It's been great talking to you, but I appreciate the kind words and the push on the YouTube show. I really do. You guys are good people, and I'm glad I've got to know you a little bit. So
you bet.
You guys are
Glenn,
awesome.
Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it, and we'll see you again.
Okay, see you guys. Thank you.
Awesome, Take care, Glenn.
buddy.
Thanks.
All right, there we go.
The great Glen Kuiper. There you go.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Guys. That's a treat to have. My brother was a huge A's fan and lives in Danville, near Glen, I believe, in that general vicinity. But he was at the A's games for all those years. But, a lot of A's fans, I'll say this, because I know some of my best friend growing up, huge A's fan, and then my brother, they stopped following the A's. They just literally stopped following the A's with the way the whole thing went down, moving to Sacramento. And, I don't know. I think if the Giants did the same thing, I probably might do the same thing. If they left San
What if
Francisco,
they left
think
San
about that.
Francisco and then went down to San Bruno or something? Something
No, I'm
crazy.
just saying. But if they left the area and just became the Giants, no longer the same, or they moved to another city because.
But he made a great point.
If they would have gone to Tampa, Dan, would you still be following the Giants?
Probably not.
Great.
We were so close.
Probably
Tampa
not.
Bay Giants. Can you believe that?
It was
man?
close,
Good
man.
book
That was
about
close.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Glenn
guys-
did the radio broadcast for Oakland, man, he was like, and TV as well. But I thought on radio, he was spectacular. He was like a hot knife and butter, smooth. as could
Completely
be.
different than his brother. I loved it.
Yeah,
All right, you
just
guys ready to get
smooth,
out of here?
well-spoken. Yeah.
Oh,
Eric,
hey,
before
real
we
quick.
go, you want to run the video again? We got to get some guys in on those squares this week. We want to fill that up. And
I was just gonna
Yeah. Good idea.
want to who want to donate. Let's hear. Let me just bring up the squares here because we brought the video we played in the very beginning. If you guys want to support Haylee Busby, again, her best friend was on earlier, the very beginning of the show, Kennedy, talking about her friend Haylee. We're trying to do our best in generating some money for Haylee. $20 a square. What do you get for $20 a square? Well, you get 4 front row tickets to the Giants game. You get to go on the field for batting practice. I think, Lou, you said that you're going to be able to get your name on the scoreboard. So again, not only do you get some
we're trying to do more extras. Everything I can go. I
There
just
you go.
have to get it all from the Giants. So.
Yeah. How many squares
working on
we've
more
sold
and more.
there? It looks just from about my eyes looking at that
25%, a little less than 25%.
23.
Yeah, right around there, man. We got quite a few. And this is updated, by the way. This is updated.
34.
34. Wow. So we only
There you
need
go, 33%.
66 more. All right, guys. Notice I got 5 of them.
There you
So
go.
do your part. I got number 17 for Elliot Ramos, number 24 for the Say Hey Kid. And I go back. 26 for John Montefiusco, 29 for Luis Matos, and 44 for Stretch, Willie Mack. All right.
There you go.
I could have gone more, but 5 was the max. And I thought, got to go with my old timers, but I got to go with a couple of the youngsters too.
Thank you,
Exactly.
Dan.
And we
Anthony
couldn't.
says he'll buy some this week. Right on, Anthony. Much
I
appreciated.
don't know if you can remember last year. I missed your email. Bernice and I were out at one of the steak houses, and I missed closing it out on the final night with you, Dan. Well, I mean, you had your show over there, and I was trying to get those blocks. So what I'll do is, and it'll be an 11th hour thing, so nobody thinks it's rigged or no bullshit, because it's all for charity, guys. But what'll happen is, if it's the 11th hour and you got blocks you need to sell,
Yeah.
I discussed it on Friday with the accountants. I'll buy whatever is left. Up to
We already got a
$500.
few people who are doing that. I think Lou said he was going to buy the last 5.
I'll buy $500 worth.
Our friend Ibrahim, he is going to spend 5 towards the end if it needs to be. So we got people.
Good.
Who
Yeah,
are,
good.
stepping up.
I threw out 5. By the way, guys, if my number gets called, we'll spin again. I'm not going to take the ticket.
Correct.
And
Same here.
Glenn, I sort of like what you think. If you win or I win, what we'll do is we're still going to donate the money, but then we'll just have a live auction. 200, 300, 400. You guys want the tickets, and then we'll add that to it. So
right on.
I like
and
it.
If I win, we'll do that. But then you got to take me to another game sometime as your guest.
I'll see what I can do.
I like that picture. I said, look where Wilmer's standing. I'd have a field day there. I'd be on my best behavior, and I have a great time.
Oh man!
Hey,
Glenn, dude, Eric, I've seen where he sits.
Hey, Glenn,
I'm sure you have.
One of these hot corners. We'll tell you what happened last season when I got
I heard about it, but I'd like to relive it. It was. I watched that. I think it was a Sunday afternoon show last year. Wasn't it a Sunday game? And you got into it with the ownership.
Yeah, the cops and everything. It was so bad. That's when our closer, who hoped to be this year closer, gave up 4, and it was like twice in 1 week. So,
all right.
Hey, reach out to Eric, Lou. I want to get. All I've got is your. I don't know if it's a corporate email. I want to get your number so I can text you.
No problem. I'll give it to Eric. Eric can give it to you.
Sounds good.
If you're willing to give it up, I know.
Of course. No problem.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thanks for having me this week. And great guest.
Great show, guys. Great show.
We're going to do the commercial.
Oh, you want to do a commercial? Here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, the little, not commercial, but and
then play the outro. We'll all say goodnight.
We'll do the promo and then get out of here, guys. We'll see you next Sunday night. Woo!
Giant Sports Talk Live and the NorCal Sports Network have teamed up to give back to the community. We ask for your support as we aid in Haylee Busby's fight for life in her battle with liver cancer. To take part in this fundraiser, you can purchase an entry for just $20, and the winner receives 4 front row dugout seats at Oracle Park for your choice of an August 8th game versus the Washington Nationals or the August 29th game when the Giants host the Baltimore Orioles. The winner will also get an on-field experience on game day and attend batting practice. So secure your entry now, as eligibility is limited. Draw date to be determined. The Busby family, Giant Sports Talk Live, and the NorCal Sports Network thank you for your participation and contribution to this worthwhile event, covering the San Francisco Giants and giving back to those in need in 2025. Giant Sports Talk Live and the NorCal Sports Network.